how expensive is it to live in the Seattle area? If that's you, wondering what is it like to live in Seattle and how expensive is it going to be for me if I move there, we're covering all of that and more in today's video. Welcome to Seattle Living 101, your ultimate guide to Washington real estate. Today, I am uncovering my own personal expenses for you so you can see what exactly you will pay for if you're living in the Seattle area. Now, of course, some of my needs may differ from your needs, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at two things. My personal expenses as somebody who lives here versus what you can expect if you were to move here. So, let's start off at the top of our list, my own personal expenses, we have the cars. Cars, whew, boy, they have gone up in price like everything else, and so has the monthly payment. The average American actually spends $533 and some change on their monthly car payment. But for today's exercise, we're gonna assume that the average American family will only have two cars. Now, for my two cars, I actually spend $450 a month at 3.75%. I have a very, very good rate. Today's rates are significantly higher. You can find rates 10, 12, 15%. I've even heard 20% from some shady dealerships, right? We all see those videos online. So it's getting pretty crazy out there, but my personal car expenses are $450 a month. I have a Volvo XC90 2019, and I have a 2019 Toyota Tacoma, a nice silver color, which I can't keep clean because my gravel driveway just keeps spitting up dust on it every time I wash it. So anyways, different story, different day. $450 a month for the cars, my own personal expenses. Now for those cars, I spend $323 in car insurance. I have full coverage on it. I have full coverage on everything. So it costs me about $323 a month. Next, we have our cell phone bills. I'm with T-Mobile. I'm paying my cell phones off, of course, as well. And of course, you have the monthly payment plan. So total together for my cell phones and the plan, for my wife and I'm spending $250 a month. Sometimes it's $245 or $247, but about $250 a month. Now let's talk about gas. If you have a Tesla or an electric car, that's wonderful, but you'll probably have a higher electric bill. My average gas bill ends up being somewhere about $600 a month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. One of my cars, my Volvo, gets about 28 miles per gallon, and my Toyota Tacoma gets about 13, 14 miles a gallon. Lifted truck and a lot more wind resistance, so I try not to take it too far, but gas can add up quickly. So we're using a baseline of $600 a month for that. Now let's look at utilities. I am fortunate enough to where the only two utility I have to pay is garbage and electricity because my house has a septic on it and a well. So all I pay is really garbage and electricity. Now for electricity, after I put in some new LED lights, boy, I gotta tell you, those can work wonders. Before I put in LED can lights in my house, my bill was roughly around $350, $400 a month. Right now, it's on average $200 a month after I put in those can lights. And for a pack of like 25, I spent 200 something bucks. Completely worth it. So my electric bill right now sits at about $200 a month. Now, the other utility, like I said, is garbage. For garbage, I pay $77 a month. And that actually covers one of my tenants' garbage that I pay for as well. So if it's just you and your household, you actually might pay a little bit less, but we're using a baseline of $77 a month. Now let's talk about my mortgage. My mortgage is actually relatively cheap considering what most people are paying nowadays. I only end up paying about $1,615. However, I just got a new bill and my taxes went up and a few other things, so it's gonna be about $200 more expensive. So it's gonna be about $1,800 a month, but as of right now, it's $1,615 is what I have been paying this last year. So that's the metric that I'm using for the purposes of this video. The average American will actually spend quite a bit more living here in Washington, which we're gonna touch up on in just a second. So monthly mortgage payment, $1,615. Now for my house, of course, I need an internet connection, right? I spend about $70 a month to Comcast for their internet service. I don't have cable, I never watch cable, but I do have some subscriptions, which we're gonna talk about as well. So, internet $70, mortgage payment $1,615, and let's just get the subscription part over with now. I have Netflix, which I believe is like $15 a month, and then I have YouTube Premium, which went up to $19 a month. I mean, these subscriptions, that's where they get us. You know, a little while ago, I sat down and just looked at my expenses, and I can see stuff that I forgot I was paying for. You have Audible, $16 a month, and a bunch of other services. So make sure, if you're trying to budget, look out for those subscriptions, because speaking of which, I gotta get a refund on another one. I just remembered $158 for the year on some Airbnb service thing. So anyways, they can add up quickly. Now let's talk about food. On average, my family and I, for a family of 4, soon to be 5, thank God, we are spending roughly $1,500 a month. Now, for our bigger bulk item purchases, we of course go to Costco. It's just a few minutes away from here, from where I live, the Costco in Covington, and we head over there for our bulk purchases. You have your bath tissue, any new towels, any kind of bulk snacks, etc. And nowadays, a simple Costco run can run you up about $400 or $500, right? Then we usually have a few trips over to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is, I always say this, is the cheapest place to go to if you're looking to make a quick grocery run. You will find nothing cheaper here in Washington, I promise you that, okay? There's Fred Meyer's out there, there's Safeway, you know, Kroger stores, but Trader Joe's is absolutely the cheapest when it comes to making a quick grocery run. So for food, we spend about $1,500 a month. Now, a few other notable mentions. I'm not talking about health insurance here because some of you guys have benefits, some of you pay for it yourselves. We have some other insurances that end up adding to $148.10. So depending on what you have, right? You might have additional coverages for your house or your cars. You might have additional coverages for your cell phones or computers or whatever it is. We have some additional insurances which add up to be $148.10. So we're gonna add that to the list as well. Now, the last two things I have is, of course, the kids' school. My kids don't go to public school, they go to a private Christian school here. We spend $1,200 a month for that, $600-ish roughly for each kid, $550, $600, I think I always add a little bit extra just in case. So $1,200 a month is what I spend for their school. Now, your kids might go to public school, which we're gonna cover as well when it comes to the average American segment, right? Because not everybody goes to private school. But I think private school is a lot better for my kids, whether you're religious or not. I always mention this. The teacher to student ratio is a lot better. You know, my son, I think he has like 6-7 kids in class, and then my daughter has like 12 or 13 kids in class. A lot more attention, a lot more one-on-one, a lot more personal care from the teachers, right? They really care about the well-being of your children. So $1,200 a month goes for that, and miscellaneous, we do end up spending about $1,000. I always send my wife a $1,000 little Venmo just for her to spend on whatever she thinks she needs. You know, maybe some kids' clothes or getting her nails done, whatever it is. You know, just sending over a little bonus for being an amazing wife. And of course, if we go over that, she can use any of my other cards to buy whatever she needs. But we try to stick to about $1,000, you know, $250 a week. Go get your nails done, you know, maybe go get a pedicure or something, head over to the store, buy some clothes for the kids, some additional snacks, whatever it may be. So the grand total that we come down to is $7,467.10 per month is my personal expenses. Now, one thing we didn't count there is credit cards. Everybody is in a different spectrum when it comes to debt. The average American spends about $272 per month for their credit card payments. So let's look at the next segment here where we're gonna be covering the averages on what I think you might spend here if your kid doesn't go to public school and a few other changes, right? So let's start at the top. Like we already mentioned, when it comes to cars, the average American spends $533.39 per car payment. Now let's assume you have 2 cars because you live in the suburbs here and you're not gonna ride an electric bike 60 miles, 40 miles to work or whatever, right? Round trip. So if you have a car, your 2 car payments are gonna be $533.39 each. for a grand total of $1,066.78. Now, let's assume the car insurance will be similar to mine, $323 a month. So we have $323 a month. After that, we're going down to the cell phones, which is what we talked about as well. Let's say it's the same, $250 a month. Let's say gas is the same. Maybe you have gas cars instead of electric. We're back at $600 a month for gas. When it comes to your utilities for your home, you'll probably spend a bit more money than my $200 for electricity. In total, for your electricity, water, and sewer, you're probably gonna spend closer to $350 a month. And let's add on garbage on top of that at about $77 a month. Maybe I'm a little bit high on the utilities, but we're just gonna go through for $350 plus $77 for water, sewer, garbage, and electricity. Now, when it comes to internet, we're gonna just transfer over the $70 as well. That's a good average. Food, $1,500 a month, assuming you're a family of 4, and that's what you can budget into, right? So food, we have at $1,500 a month. Food, $1,500 a month, assuming you're a family of 4, and that's what you can budget into, right? So food, we have at $1,500 a month. Currently at $1,615, but depending on where you live, your monthly payment should be at least $2,600 a month. We're gonna call it $2,615, $1,000 more than mine. Some places it's gonna be higher, some places it's gonna be lower, depending on your needs for your family and how big of a family you have. But for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna be using $2,615. Now, let's assume those additional insurances for either this or that are going to be about kind of the same as mine, $148.10. And let's throw in that $1,000 miscellaneous bill as well, right? I send it over to my wife. You might end up spending, I don't know, and going out to eat or whatever the case may be. But usually we all find ways to put our money and go outside of our planned budget. And if you're really strict to your budget, I need to learn from you, because I tend to kind of, we can afford this, sure, let's buy it. And then it's like, we didn't budget for that, right? So I gotta be a bit more disciplined on my end as well. But let's throw in that $1,000 for the miscellaneous items. Then we have $19 for YouTube Premium, $15 for Netflix. You might have some other different type of subscriptions, but let's assume you have 2 with those averages. And we come to a grand total of $8,033.88. That's assuming your kids will go to public school, not private school. So for all of those, for that list, we have $8,033.88 compared to my $7,467.10. Now, if you are super strict and you don't have those extra $1,000 in miscellaneous expenses, you'll be at $7,033 roughly. So taking those two numbers into consideration, and not even including credit card debt, right? That's one thing we didn't talk about yet, because the average American's credit card monthly payments are $272 a month. So even if you're super strict on your budget and your expenses to live here are $7,033 because you're not spending those extra $1,000, you're still gonna spend about $7,200 for your monthly living expenses. So $7,200, $7,300 is what you should expend at least every single month in order just to live here. So $7,300 a month is roughly what you can expect to spend monthly here if you're looking to move to Washington State. So with everything we talked about, if you're looking to just break even and live paycheck to paycheck, you need to be making at least $87,600 net per year living here in the Seattle area. And of course, that will vary depending if you live in downtown or not, or what suburb you decide to live in. If you're on the eastern side, it may be more expensive. I know gas over there is more expensive, and some grocery items as well. Whole Foods is a really expensive store that I would not recommend going to, but people who live there do tend to go there, so your salaries there would need to be considerably higher. But if you're out in the suburbs, kind of like me, $87,600 per year net is what you should expect to spend. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hey, I'm a real estate agent over here in the Seattle area. And over at Seattle Living 101, like I always say, we're the ultimate guide to Washington real estate. So if you're looking to move here, give us a call, shoot us a text, book a Zoom call with the QR code showing up down below, and I'd be happy to help you make that smooth move over to the Seattle area.